it saved my life, and that kind of touched me. And like I felt, wow,
Yeah.
this is something that I'd like to put on the podcast and learn more
Yeah. When
about
you
because
launch a pickleball brand, you become less of a pickleball player. So I deconstructed it. Like I physically deconstructed it, right? I didn't know anything about making pickleball paddles at all.
yeah.
So I cut a few up. I started to understand it. I started to figure out what the materials were, and then I made some tweaks to the inner materials to a stronger material to a better quality carbon fiber, and then
Okay, everyone, welcome to the Pickleball Bros podcast. We're here with Jason from Manolo Paddle. Ooh, welcome.
Yo,
thank
welcome to
you,
the
thank you,
podcast.
Welcome,
thank you
welcome.
for having me. Appreciate you guys having me on.
No problem. Because, like, I looked into your paddle, actually, your Instagram site, and you were interviewing a guy that said that because of pickleball, it saved my life. And that kind of touched me. And, like, I felt, wow,
Yeah,
this is something that I'd like to put on the podcast and learn more
yeah,
about. Because you don't hear that too often, right?
yeah. Well, you know what's funny is I think in the space that I'm operating in now, that story is becoming more and more commonplace, and maybe not as drastic in words, but pickleball has saved people in many ways,
Mm-hmm.
and pickleball is a safe place for people in a lot of ways as well too. I mean, honestly, now like the majority of what I do is community and culture stuff. We just happen to make really good pickleball paddles. So the story that you're referring to, that I didn't allude to in the first story, that gentleman knock knock, he's homeless.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and we just ended up being partners. And then yeah, we whooped my friends' asses, and we just had a blast. And then as he started to tell my story, I asked if I could share his story, and now we're friends. And now I try to go to that court weekly to go check on him. People that came out in massive numbers, trying to help him, and Manalo Supply is doing what we can to help him and keep him on the right path. But
Hmm.
yeah, when he says it, he means it. And he told me pickleball saves my life multiple times because if I'm on these courts, I'm not out on these streets. And the way that I knew that he was someone special and pickleball was something special to him was as people would enter those courts, before they would go put their bags down, they would go seek him out, say what's up, dap him up, you know what I mean? Give him a hug, and it was all love. And he was telling me, he's like, even that pickleball community is how he eats.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so they're going there with the intent to play, but then also see if knock knock is there and take care of him.
So, like, I'm in Japan, and like, we have pickleball. It's growing quite well. We're building more courts, but to hear a story like this is really touching. It's like in Japan, we don't have anyone that would say that pickleball saved my life and I'm homeless. I guess it's
Yeah.
something that only you guys would have. But like, can you touch more on that, like his story and how you met him and stuff like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I work for the fire department and still full time while I run Manalo Supply. And admittedly, when you launch a pickleball brand, you become less of a pickleball player because there's absolutely no time. But we were going off shift one day, me and my crew, and we all actually had an open morning. So we're like, hey, let's go. Um, there's this bar that opens. It's like one of the oldest bars in San Diego. They open really early, and there happened to be pickleball courts down the street. So the plan was we were gonna go have breakfast, have a cocktail, and then go walk down to the courts and see if they were open, and they happened to be open. So we're playing, having a good time, and this gentleman walks up, and you can kind of tell right off the bat there's a good chance that he's homeless,
Yeah.
but we're odd numbers. And I call him over because he's still behind the fence. He's like out there. He's legit stretching with the band and everything. Like he's getting ready to wreck shop. And we had just came from having biscuits and gravy and a cocktail, so we were not like but him and I partner up, and number one, he's a good athlete, but number two, you know how you when you play with someone, if your styles match, and you have that synergy, you just do well. So we ended up pickling my friends who are
Wow.
decent. Yes,
Okay.
who are decent players. And then from there, this friendship kind of unfolds because now we're laughing, we're talking, we're talking shit to my friends, as we do in the fire service anyways. But um, once we went off the court so other people could play, we got to sit down and talk about it. And he was telling me his entire routine. And pickleball is a large portion of his day.
Oh, okay. So he was playing before you met him already.
Yes, correct. Yeah, so
Okay.
that's part of his daily routine. That was my second time ever to those courts. I just happened to meet him, and then we happened to become friends. And now we stay in contact. He actually, his phone is not that great, but now because of the pickleball community here is aware of Manalo Supply, they'll hit me on Instagram so I could talk to him.
Okay.
Yeah,
So like he already played pickleball and you just met him and he said, "Come over, let's play."
yeah.
And like does where does he live? I mean,
So I mean, essentially he lives on the streets,
okay.
but his morning consists of getting to the pickleball courts. He has a stretching routine. He gets on the courts and he plays, basically to occupy his time.
Okay.
And then in the after he's done, because at some point, especially here, even right now, if you start playing at noon, it gets a little bit too hot. The courts start to thin out.
Yeah.
Then he walks to the church, and then I think he's going through some things over there, trying to find work placement and things like that. But the church helps him out. And then in the evening, sometimes he'll pop back into the courts, or he'll just try to find a place to sleep, whether it's at a mission or a shelter, or if it's just legit on the streets. And then repeat the next day, back to the courts.
So tell me, what do you guys do like to support him from a NOLA supply?
Yeah, so the very first thing I did was I upgraded his paddle, obviously. I wasn't there um to sell anything. So I didn't have any extra equipment on me, right? I was literally there just to play with the guys from the fire station. But he was playing with, just like a poorly made paddle. So I just gifted him my personal. And if you watch one of the videos, he actually wouldn't take it at first. Um, and eventually I talked him into it. So yeah, he took the paddle. And then in addition to that, I think probably the biggest thing that we do is stay in communication with him. I try to go out there. Like last week, I went out there and brought food, but I didn't find him. But he's not easy to track down either, you know. But I also know people that have become homeless, and I know that lifestyle. I'm familiar with that lifestyle.
Hmm.
So one of the biggest things that you can do is offer them actual connection, letting them know I'm here, dog. Like if you need something, I'm a phone call away. Or if the day is being rough, call me. Let's talk. And
Wow.
and what I have found too is what tends to help people a lot as well, right? Because we all go through our struggles, is the ability to help someone else as well. So I told him, I said, hey, look, knock knock. I know you're going through it, and not to minimize what you're doing, but I ask that you check on me as well too. So now we have this accountability for each other where I'm going to check on you and then you check on me. Right? That's the biggest thing that you could do. But for anybody is just have true connection, in my opinion.
Wow, that's great. I mean, having accountability between pickleball friends. Like Erica and I, we talk a lot, but it's usually about things that, well, we're not accountable for each other like you guys are. It's kind of
Yeah.
cool. It's I'm kind of
Yeah.
jealous actually. You know?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing too, and maybe like the people that I showed up with were the guys who work in my firehouse, and so we operate in brotherhood all the time. For the last 18 years of my life, this is how it is that yes, we're gonna go kick that door down together, or we're gonna go on that elevator rescue together, but if you're gonna deepen that bond, then you're asking, how are you today? How
Mm,
was your day? You know,
okay.
that's the biggest thing you can do for someone.
Okay, so like, let's talk about knock knock. Like, has he had like some mental issues? That's why he's on the street, or is it just not? just unlucky? I mean, what is his situation?
Yeah, so with situations like that, I didn't dive into that.
Okay.
Like I didn't ask him those things. Um, I think our relationship is going to end up in a place where he's comfortable telling me, but he did tell me, he goes, I live in the street, so I do street activities. He goes, and I don't know what he's alluding to. And to be perfectly honest, like I don't care. Not yet. Like not saying I don't care, that's not the right way to phrase it. I understand it is what I should say. And but if pickleball gets him away from those things, then I'm going to encourage that. Whatever he needs pickleball wise, he's never going to need to worry about that. He's never not going to have a paddle. And hopefully it's a Manalo Supply paddle, you know?
Yeah.
But beyond that, like even bigger is he'll have friends in pickleball who will evolve into actual friends. And you could hear him say it too. He says, "Man, I've through pickleball, I've met friends that I feel like I will have for a lifetime."
Wow.
Yeah, and you can hear the sincerity in his voice, and he means it, and that just resonated with me so deeply. So yeah, I don't know all of his struggles,
Hmm.
but I know how he deals with his struggles, and that's pickleball.
Great. So like the pickleball community is his support group basically, and he also
Yeah,
plays with them and has fun with them and things
yes,
like that, right? Wow.
yeah,
That is so amazing. Eric, you got anything to add?
Yeah, I was watching that video on Instagram and I saw that, yeah, that little snippet on Instagram. And his name, it sounded like one of my friends from tennis. Is he of Asian or Vietnamese
yeah. He's
origin?
Vietnamese. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
Vietnamese. It's actually spelled Ngoc, and yeah, and his last name is Tang. But his like he gave himself the name Knock Knock, and he drops the G.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I remember having a
that's his
tennis
name.
player friend that had the same name. It's really cool that you're supporting well, we're all about the Asian sector of pickleball, and so we do
Yeah,
podcasts a lot of those manufacturers and the dealings in that business. So it's really cool to see you guys supporting Asian person in San Diego that's having troubles. Well, we don't know the details, but off the streets and getting a fellow Asian pickleball player back on the street to play pickleball and just regain a lot of friendships and humanity through the game of pickleball. So it's really cool to see that you're supporting him.
yeah. No, I appreciate that, and I'm not sure if you guys have seen like one of our slogans. Let me see. Is from pavement to paint, right?
Oh,
And that's the double entendre, meaning like our stuff is so cool it can go from the streets onto the pickleball courts, but the same thing applies to those relationships, right? Is that you have these on-court relationships. I've made, man, I've been on this journey for about 2 years, right? We launched online in May of last year. So we haven't even been online for a year yet. But I have made so many friends through pickleball. And some I haven't even met in person yet. But we're on the phone all even right now. One of our original ambassadors, we were just texting and we were just talking about pickleball and the launch of the next paddle. But I was like, how crazy is pickleball that I'm hopping on uh, a a podcast that's based in Osaka right now?
Yeah.
It's wild, man. No, no other sports that I can think of are currently doing that, or are making connections this fast and this broad.
Yeah, for
And you have
sure.
it, you talk,
Yeah.
yeah, and then especially like in the Asian community, and especially like in the Asian American community, it, it's pretty crazy, man. Like, yeah, dude, I'll riff something to you guys too, real quick. Like, I want to tell you guys something. Um, when I first started the brand, right, my whole goal was I'm just going to make high performance equipment that had a little bit of an edge to it. The branding is going to be a little bit street. We're going to be a little bit urban, and we're going to get recognized by that. And that happened. But the name, it drew in all the Filipino Americans, right?
Right.
And I almost had this fear of people only supporting their brand because it was a Filipino American brand, right? So I didn't lean heavily into that until some of my mentors were like, no, you build within that community first, and then it takes off from there. And then I switched everything up because I did what I didn't want was I didn't want a bias towards the brand that felt like it was owed to me and not off of what I built. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I wanted people to know like we're building high quality stuff. Like we're spending countless hours engineering these paddles, countless hours making sure that the weight on the t-shirt is exactly correct or that the logos on the hat sit exactly right. So like you walk outside, you have a fly hat, you know. But the Asian community came out in droves and they were like, yeah, we're an Asian brand.
Wow. You got that
Yeah,
support from the Asian community, especially the Filipino
yeah,
community. That's why the two Filipinos had that paddle and came to
yeah,
Osaka. Wow.
yeah. And I remember when you said that, I remember the first time that I shipped to the Philippines because I don't even ship like globally. I ship in the US to Canada. And then naturally, because I borrowed a word from Tagalog, I was like, I better open up shipping to the Philippines. And I remember sending the first one out and the shipping was insane. It was like 80 US dollars.
Yeah.
So I never thought that anyone would even buy one because I mean you're paying that much shipping. You could buy a lot for that money, you know what I mean?
Right.
But for someone in the Philippines to support, and I believe that's probably who ended up in Osaka,
Mm.
was one of the gentlemen in the Philippines, and I don't actually know where the friend was from. We connected on Instagram just recently, and I just said thank you because I don't know if you guys saw they made a reel actually
It did,
hanging out
yeah.
with you guys. Yeah, it was so
Yeah, in
awesome.
Osaka.
Yeah,
I was in the Rio. Yeah. Because they contacted me to play in Osaka and I introduced them to the club that we went to.
all right,
And
I'm next. What's if I ever clear my plate, I'm playing in Osaka.
yeah,
That's on the
definitely.
bucket list now.
Yep. All are welcome, especially you.
Yeah, thank you.
Wow. Okay, so tell us a little bit more about your paddle. We're very interested. I used it. Hit a few balls with it. I found
Yeah.
it like is very, how do you say, forgiving, and it also like doesn't make a big noise like how most of the pedals are now. They're pretty noisy. You know,
Yes.
is that
Yeah.
on purpose or is that
Yeah.
your
It's a
engineering?
hundred. Yeah, 100% on purpose. So, um, being a business this size, right? A smaller business, trying to figure out, okay, who is our initial audience that we're going to capture, right? Because anyone that's playing like at the top levels, they that was kind of already locked in, right? They were going to either rock a Jula or a Selkirk, maybe a Franklin. Those were kind of all locked. But I'm like, what if we tapped into that person who has started playing pickleball? They realized, okay, now I'm a pickleball player and my skill set is better, so I need a better paddle. And the perfect paddle in that space is going to be something that's well built, but also very forgiving.
Hmm.
So what I did is I went back to that first era of really good control paddles, and my inspiration for it was the signature paddle by Ben Johns while he was with Franklin. I played that paddle for a while and I loved it.
Yeah,
But I'm like, what
that's
can
one
we
of the
do?
great paddles out there. Yeah,
Yeah, it
it
really,
is.
really is. So I deconstructed it. Like I physically deconstructed it, right? I
Mhm.
didn't know anything about making pickleball paddles at all.
Yeah.
So I cut a few up. I started to understand it. I started to figure out what the materials were, and then I made some tweaks to the inner materials to a stronger material to a better quality carbon fiber, and then I wanted it to have a little bit more pop, so I tightened up the honeycomb spacing on that MC1. So MC1 stands for Manalo Control version 1.
Okay.
So our goal was to make a control paddle that anybody can play with. So you can be right out of the gates and play with that. But then we also have 5.0s, like 5.0s, that still prefer a control paddle when they're playing doubles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
It just depends on their play style. So it just made the most sense to do that. And the other thing I did too was I made sure that paddle was cold pressed. Here's what happens in pickleball is things are going to get um, a lot of attention, or they're going to get hot, or they're going to be a buzz. There's going to be a buzz about it. There's going to be a novelty about it. But cold pressing was tried and true. At the time, everyone was going to thermoform paddles.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you guys remember that wave of thermoform paddles, everyone was having delamination issues. Nobody was having delamination issues with cold pressing. So I found the factory that did the best cold pressing. And then to make up for what you lose on the outer edge is why I tightened up the core spacing down to 6 millimeters.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's how we built that paddle. But I make it sound like it was that simple. I built that paddle 7 times before I got it right.
Wow.
Yeah.
But we have a lot of guests that like want to promote their paddles and things, but they don't know as much about their paddle as you do because you made it from, the ground up. That's really amazing.
Yeah. Here's what I tell people all the time. If you want to make a pickleball paddle company, you could do it tomorrow. I could teach you how to do it in 24 hours and you could be live. The problem is I shouldn't say problem. What is becoming commonplace now is people are not taking time to engineer the paddles.
Yeah.
They're just going to these manufacturers and then slapping their branding on a paddle, which there's nothing wrong with that, because if that's how you want to build your company, I don't think it's necessarily a bad model, but it's just not the model that we're going to do here, So it's a lot, right? To make one paddle. People are like, why would you make one paddle when all these other companies offer 20, 30, 40, 50 different variations? I'm like, because I want a brand that's fly. So I have to start with one paddle because that's what I have the capital for. And then now we're about to launch our second paddle. And again, same thing, about 7 or 8 versions of our upcoming paddle, which drops next month. That's a foam core paddle. And I went through all of it. I started messing around with shapes, sizes, cutouts, like you name it.
Yeah, tell us a little bit more about what it takes to design it from the ground up because I have my own paddle, but basically I didn't design anything except for the outside design. The inside
Yeah.
is what you're talking about. I mean,
Yeah.
can you go more into detail? You don't have to give your secrets, but just what it
Yeah.
took to do
No.
that.
And here's the truth. None of it is a secret. It's just, are you willing to do the work? Are you willing to stay steady? Right. So like if I were to start somewhere, I would start with understanding the materials and understanding that there are different qualities of materials. So you can make a foam core paddle right now, right? You can make an EPP foam core paddle, but if you don't understand the densities and how they're going to react, and then with the layers, however you decide to do the face layup, like so for example, the Primo that we're launching, it's a quadruple layer of carbon fiber. So you have to understand the materials and then how they're going to react, and then whatever your end goal is. So we start with the end in mind, right? So with the MC1, I said we're going to make a control style paddle that also delivers ample power for someone in that intermediate range,
Hmm.
right? So you start there. What is the end goal? Understand the materials, how they're going to work. And then for a small business, the other part is you kind of have to go off of market analysis as well too, because it's easy to just be like, oh, I'm going to make the paddle that I like. But as a small business, you also have to try to understand what is it that the consumers like. So I'm very fortunate. I would build these paddles and I would build them as blanks without being branded. And my R&D team is literally just friends that play pickleball and the firefighters that I work with.
Hmm.
Right. So like they're not going through labs. They're not going through aerodynamic testing. I just put them in the hands of people
Yeah.
and I say, please write some notes down and text it to me. And then I take that as my true data.
Wow.
So I'm curious
and then
how
really
long.
just finding manufacturers.
And I'm
Amazing.
curious
Yeah,
how long have you been playing pickleball for, Jason? It sounds like you have a lot of experience. You can just create a paddle because you've been on the court so long and you've handed people's paddles. And you say you have a research and development team, which is basically the players out there. How long have you been out there and hitting the ball yourself? I'm curious.
so around COVID, what year was that?
2020.
2021?
2020.
2020.
That's when I
Yeah,
started too. Yeah.
yeah, so like 6 years. I think I had dabbled in it a little bit before then, Like guys were playing it at the fire station. And admittedly too, when they first started playing, I wasn't even playing with them. Because I drive the trucks. I'm like, dude, get the fuck out of the way. I gotta park. Like, where to get
Yeah.
this? What is this? You're like, who put duct tape on the ground? That's how we started playing. With duct tape on the ground and like portable net that someone brought in because it was such a weird time back then. We needed to do some sort of like physical activity,
Right. Right.
but not be in the gym like all next to each other lifting weights.
Yeah, it was
Right.
actually
So
banned, right? During that time. I couldn't go to the gym myself, so you needed something to do physically. And you would just build a
yeah,
court at your fire station area?
yeah, duct tape lines, dude. The first versions, like in those first versions, they weren't even like to scale. I'm pretty sure. Like I don't even
Yeah.
think we had the measurements right. And we all were playing with wooden paddles that somebody picked up from like who knows where, probably the grocery store or something.
Hmm.
Yeah, but that was basically yeah, how I got my start with that. And I apologize. I think I might have drifted away from the original question.
I don't know. That that's
Oh, how
pretty.
long
Which
have I
was
been
just
playing?
it
Yeah,
was
yeah,
yeah, it was just
yeah.
like
So
how
then,
long you got into it, how you found that
yeah,
research and development team. It sounds like you went through the whole gambit of like all the, I mean, if you went from a wooden paddle, then you would understand how much you could improve on that in your company, basically, right? Because you
yeah,
saw like the rudimentary paddle. And I have to mention that I also saw a lot of firefighters play at my local courts in the Seattle and Portland area, and they just
yeah,
hang out there and they play all day. They like
yeah,
sometimes they just have like a day where they send all of their teammates to one court. They have their radios with them all day, and they're
yeah,
just playing there all day. And they can figure out the game and like meet all the people while they're there. They have a lot of time to be out in public, so a lot of
yeah.
experience goes together.
And it works out well for us too because we already do PR events, right? So like when you're working as a firefighter, really, besides training, the only time that you're allocated to do something is when the bell rings and you got to go on a call. So, and physical fitness, um, they want to stay physically active. They want to stay physically fit. So they want to stay engaged with the public. So, yeah, like so there's a couple of stations that I don't work at one, but there's a station that they're right around the corner from a court, and they'll just walk up, bring their radios. The only bad part is like we try to play with just ourselves because it's kind of like we could get a call at any moment,
Right.
Yeah.
right, and run off. It's like the grocery store. The grocery store is always a little bit stressful because like we'll be walking around with a full cart, and then we get a call, and then we have to go run and find a worker. We're like, hey, sorry, we left the cart over there, and then we leave, and then we'll come back later after the call is done.
Okay. Well,
That's cool. That's really cool, actually, because you're all committed to your job first, obviously, because it's an emergency situation. And then, but you still
Yeah.
have time to play pickleball, which is just as, well, pretty important to you guys, which is a really cool thing to hear.
Yeah, and even still, like firefighters in general are fit, but we have the guys, of course, like if you're on the job for a while, like it's easy to fall off. So many stories of people being re-engaged again with their physical fitness started with pickleball. And that's inside and outside of the fire station. The gentleman that I was just texting with yesterday, um, I sent him a paddle and he didn't even ask for it. He just told me that he liked what I was doing, but he shared his story with me. He's lost 150 pounds. 150 pounds.
That's
And
crazy.
yeah, and we were on the phone. That's the cool thing about being this small of a level. It's like if I go through DMs and then we end up becoming friends, just like how I did with Knock Knock. Like if I have time, I'm like, dude, let's hop on a video chat or a podcast or a phone call, and these people become my friends. And I'm like, yeah, I was like, man, I love your story. I want to share his story as well too. Like like he didn't have to say it, right? But losing 150 pounds, pickleball probably saved his life too.
yeah, for sure. I've got a similar
Yeah.
story like that, but I don't want to take too much of your time. But Let's
Yeah.
let's put it this
No.
way. Yeah, I was like 160 kilos, like 380 maybe around. So yeah, pickleball saved my life too.
Yeah. And I think pickleball is a lot of people's therapy as well, right? Like you can get out there and I had this conversation with Knock Knock, and it's not that your problems are no longer existent or they're not still very real, but when you're on that court, like none of that shit
Everything goes
matters.
away. Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
I
I'm
agree.
hanging out with my friends and I'm gonna do my best to whoop your ass on the other side of that net. Respectfully. Right? Like
Yeah.
like dude, it's a beautiful thing. It really, really is, you know.
Wow. Eric, any other questions for Jason? I got a few, but go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. He answered it.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
you,
yeah, as far as like building paddles, here's the funny thing. I tell people now, I was like, what has happened is I've become more of a businessman than a pickleball player just by necessity.
hmm.
Like, I still play pickleball. Like, I'm still trying to get out there once a week. And obviously, I play at the fire station. But yeah, they're like, oh, people are always texting me, oh, come meet up with us. Come meet up. I'm like processing orders. I'm doing all these things. I'm trying to shoot content. I'm like, I can't. Next week.
So, like, I guess my question would be, what do you see the future of Manalo Supply going, or where it's going, and do you plan to like hire more people, or kind of make your load a little bit less? What is the future of your company?
Yeah, I genuinely think that the sky's the limit. I think if we stay on this trajectory, obviously the goal is to make more products, right? We have our second paddle coming out. I have a bunch of contracts completed already for other apparel, other gear.
Mhm.
I've actually started down the path of proprietary pickleball tech that I'm trying to pull a patent for. But that's just going to take a lot of time, a lot of money, and it's just going to take a lot.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
the way that I get there is I just work in the basics, right? Like if I do what we do well now and we stay on this path and we continue to make revenue, then I can scale up. As far as hiring more people, trust me, man, I've hit that point where like, I had people in the Philippines build my website for me. I outsourced that. And also they were like, hey, if you need a digital assistant, we can do that for like a really reasonable fee. And I hit those days where I'm like, oh, I should have probably hired a digital assistant. Like, but I'm so focused on the connection and culture aspect of it right now that I say, fuck it. I'll take the load right now. So I am the CEO. I'm the video editor. I'm the guy who processes your order. I'm the guy who brings the paddle to UPS.
okay.
Like I literally do it all. And this is something that I learned from the fire service too is you can't you can't hire people or you can't have people work below you if you don't know what you are doing. If you don't know how to do that position well, how do you expect to supervise someone if you haven't walked that path? And I've seen it, right? I've seen it in the fire service. People who moved up the ranks because they test well, but they were never really in the trenches.
Mm,
So how do I give you um how do I give you the recipes for success for that task if I don't know how to do it myself?
right. Oh,
Yeah, so that's why yeah, yes, eventually we'll scale up and it's like I said, it's right on the edge. Like there's some days where I'm like, man, I wish I had either more hours or more arms or even just someone standing by my side. But I will say this though. My current ambassadors, they're a massive help, right? As far as like the one place where I have the most help and all of this happened organically was creating brand awareness. And that might actually be the most valuable work that anybody could do, right? Like if I have to sit hours like until my eyes are red designing a paddle,
hmm.
like I don't mind doing that. But if someone will take a paddle and tell someone about it, like that's work. To me, that's work. And they're doing it in their own way. I can't tell them how you're supposed to promote it because I want you to speak about this with autonomy in a way that's true to you. And people do it all the time. And yeah, it's man, it's the coolest thing. I'll get pictures like, text messages or DMs and like someone has a paddle in Memphis,
Mm.
you know? It's so yeah, that's the goal is more high quality products, expand the brand, and then yeah, um, maybe this brand takes me out of the fire department.
Right. I mean, it sounds like you became a paddle designer just by chance, and like,
It's 100% by chance.
wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
You never,
You
I
want to
mean,
know?
never knew that you
Go
would
ahead.
do this, right?
No, never. What's funny is I've always kind of been the type of guy for like side missions, right? So once I feel like I've hit, I don't want to say mastery, but once I hit like a level of mastery in one thing, I'm chomping at the bit for the next thing.
Oh,
So before this, like I was working as a fireman, I tried to buy a donut shop. Like I was gonna do that,
okay.
and then that ended up not working. Then I started to dabble in real estate. I ended up buying a house in Arkansas I've never seen in my entire life before,
Yeah.
right? And that worked. I ended up making money from that. Um, and then I had taken the money from that and I was going to do it again. I was going to buy another house out of state to rent out. But this is how Manalo Supply was born. So this game, I'm aware of it, right? We play it with these duct tape lines. But I'm sitting at the fire station one day and the other fellows are in the gym. I'm just sitting at the TV and on ESPN on a Saturday, right? So we're talking prime time sports TV. I don't know if you guys remember this, but there was an event, and I believe it was called Pickle Slam. And what they did there was they televised this pickleball game, but they used all tennis stars. If I remember correctly, it was like Chang, Agassi, maybe McEnroe, right? So I'm watching this and it's fascinating and it's all these like OGs from tennis that everybody knows. But I'm processing what is it that they are doing because pickleball already had pros,
Mhm.
right? What they were doing to me was they were forecasting that pickleball was about to blow up and they were purposely drawing eyes towards pickleball,
Mhm.
right? Because those were household names already.
Yep.
We already had gear from them. Nobody at the time, unless you played pickleball, knew who Ben Johns was,
Yeah.
right? But they were purposely bringing eyes to pickleball. And then that day, I'm like, oh, dude, this thing's gonna blow up. I'm like, what if we get in on this?
Mhm.
So literally that night, I go to my dorm and I'm like, how do I build a paddle? you know?
Okay.
And then the rest is
Wow.
history. And yeah, I've spent more hours now administratively than I have actually designing paddles.
Okay.
So, and that was a lot of time, trying to figure out how to do that. But still, even just learning how do you legally launch a business? How do you buy the rights to this? How do you even name a company? Right? Like I was going to call it 002. That's what I was going to call it at first. And then I found out, I want to say it was one of the larger brands. I think it was Selkirk had bought the rights to it
Oh.
and they just parked it. They weren't even using it.
Mhm.
So then I have to figure out what am I going to name it? There's a plethora of things that come with, oh, I would just like to design a paddle.
Mhm.
Because it's easy to design a paddle, but it's hard to say, hey guys, I designed a good paddle. Would you check it out?
Well, you're running a business. That's like a total different entity in itself. I mean,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
designing a paddle is one thing, but like marketing and actually having a company and keeping it profitable, that's the challenge, I
yeah,
believe.
yeah, it is. But it's just like, it's in some ways it's kind of like pickleball too. Because okay, so dude, this is actually I literally just freestyling this right now. I guess this is how I would say business is like pickleball. So The reason why people gravitate towards pickleball, right, is the barrier to entry is very, very low, right? The
Hmm.
rules are simple. You don't have to be crazy athletic. And what all you need is a paddle and a ball. You might not even need a ball.
Yeah.
You might not even need a paddle. You could just go to a court and tell someone you want to play because the community is there, right? So the barrier to entry for pickleball is very low. Same thing now with pickleball, or excuse me, with business, right? If you want to start a business today, you have social media, you
Yep.
have outsourcing like places like Alibaba, right? So you can get in very easily. But this is what defines whether you're going to be successful or not is, are you going to continue to put the reps in, right?
Right.
So just like in business, and the same thing in pickleball, I think currently there are no boundaries to mastery. We don't know how far these athletes are going to take pickleball. Like
Mm.
I think once where I think the turning point is going to be is when it goes collegiate. And
Mhm.
I think someone in Arizona, a school in Arizona, is making a collegiate program.
Yeah. APP has their collegiate program as well. They just had their
Yeah,
championships. Yeah. It's
yeah.
growing in
When
colleges now.
when that when that starts to grow, because what happens is in that era, right, in that age group is going to be the most athletic that anyone's going to be. But then also there's a creative spark that happens in that age range where they're going to start thinking about different ways to play, or they're going to come with a strategy that no one has ever seen, or they're going to start hitting the ball differently.
Hmm.
And we don't know where that's going to be. And the same thing with building Manalo Supply, or building any business for that matter, is I'm trying something new every single day. I'm doing something that I've never done before.
Wow.
And I just keep doing it until I feel like, okay, I figured that part out.
Hmm.
Teach me the next shot.
Yeah, it sounds like you can't keep still. What it
Yeah,
sounds
yeah,
like.
yeah, that's very, very true.
Awesome.
It's a
Awesome.
gift. It's a gift and a curse.
Okay, wow. That's
Yeah.
just amazing story. Eric, let's get some last words from you, bro.
Oh, last words from me. Well, I wanted to actually, at the Pickleball podcast, we always ask spicy questions, right? Right,
Yeah,
Mark?
that's
So
good.
we have to ask, like, how do you differentiate yourself from the a lot of, like you said, it's low barrier to entry. How do you make sure that you're standing out versus the other if you want to? And do you worry about that, or is that an issue with you guys when you're trying to sell your brand and your paddle and your new paddle that's also coming out? How do you convince people to buy it compared to many of the other companies?
Yeah, I love that question. And it's perfect. Like, you're asking spicy questions to a spicy dude. So, I love that. I think so. The way that we differentiate, right, is we are just unapologetic in our identity. Let him know, like, dude, like, I'm an ex hoodlum, right? Like, I'm a Filipino American ex hoodlum fireman, and we're building a brand that's going to be a little bit more gritty. I might cuss in some interviews. We might show up a little different. Like, we're not going to look or dress just how the other pickleball players play. We might bring a little bit of flair when we play the game, and then we're going to bake all of that into the way that we style the products and we style the brand. Because at the end of the day, like right now, I did a video on this. The margins in pickleball equipment are very, very small, right? So the differentiator is going to be which one has the dopest style, or the style that fits you. And there's more and more folks like me, these middle aged. No, I don't want to say like me. There's just people that are like me that want something that's different, right? And we're going to be unapologetically different, because you could pull up to a court right now today, whether you're in Saigon or in Osaka or Seattle, right? And you can find a 65-year-old lady with a knee brace on, or and an 18-year-old kid who is a stellar athlete, and there's a good chance that they're rocking the exact same gear,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when Manalo Supply comes to the table, we're basically saying we're going to bridge that gap. It doesn't have to be that way.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
even
very
like if
cool.
you look at even the apparel that we make, right? I don't even make I don't even use like performance materials. Like I make streetwear with pickleball branding on it.
Okay.
And they're like, "Oh man, when are you gonna make a sweat-proof shirt?" I'm like, "I'm probably not." And they're like, "Why not?" I'm like, "I don't like the way it looks." I'm like, "We're gonna be fly." I'm like, in all honesty, it's pickleball. I'm like, I could beat you in a three-piece suit if I wanted to, but I'm not gonna do that, you know? So that's kind of where we come in. It's really gonna be the style, the edge, but the biggest thing is going to be our connection when it comes to culture and community. Because I don't see the large brands doing that. Like if you look at my videos, right? I could go on for minutes talking about the specs of the paddle, right? But the reality is they're not a whole lot different. Like I'm not going to front like, oh, the fact that I changed this by a couple millimeters, that's not the differentiating factor. That's not what's going to make you buy that paddle. Obviously, it has to feel good, but if the brand resonates with you, then that's
Yeah.
what makes you, at least for me, like as even as a consumer, right? When a brand resonates with me, like I'm loyal, I'm in. So I'm trying to create that, and we're doing pretty good so far.
So
Yeah,
people
that reminds
identify
me.
with Manolo. I'm sorry, Eric.
What was that?
Identifying with your, yeah. So it sounds like you identify. Your people identify with your brand. I mean, identification. It's like one of the oldest marketing techniques out there, but I think you have it. People want to identify with Manolo.
Yeah, yeah, and that's huge to us, you know. And it's a shot in the dark when you do that,
Yeah.
right? Because you're like, here we are. But I mean, look at like think about this too, right? So like you look what like, and not to compare us to them, but just I want to say like, look at like what brands like and one did to basketball, right? Basketball was already well established, and these guys came in and they were wild, right? And people were like, I don't know, we're not really ready for that. And then and one blows up. There, that style resonated with people, right? You could say the same thing with like Supreme and skateboarding. Like they they took this brand, and again, they weren't making anything that doesn't already exist, right? But that brand resonated with people. When Volcom came to skate, right? They were the bad boys of skate. And everyone flipped. Now we are also the bad boys of skate, you
Hmm.
know? So we don't necessarily have to be the bad boys, but we can be unapologetically different. And I'm good with that. If anything, I want that.
Eric, you're
Yeah.
gonna say something? Sorry, I interrupted.
He basically read my mind because I was gonna say what you were saying and describing your company and how you differentiate. It totally connected to me because I used to skate when I was really young, and it just
Yeah.
brought that like that rebellious vibe of the like 90s, 80s skateboarding. And I feel like that your brand kind of like emanates that energy. It's like very San Diego. And I really
Yeah.
like that type of marketing. And that's kind of where I would like to see Pickleball, the professional tour kind of go, have like that edgy type rebellious look. Maybe you can, and you maybe you got some ambassadors already that I haven't seen, but I would see that your company would go towards that direction, and I would really emanate with that. So I like when
Yeah.
you said that, I was like, that's exactly what I was gonna describe.
Yeah.
So right
No,
on.
yeah. You know, it's funny we're talking about marketing. Like, do we have a like a I'm probably sharing too much, but I think it's okay. So we have we're working on a rap song with a legit artist that we're gonna
Cool.
that's gonna be connected to the brand, right? Like Franklin ain't doing that, Julia ain't doing that. You know what I mean? Like we're gonna do it, you know. And I'm partnering with we've got a whole bunch of cool collaborations coming up. Um, and even that, right? Like Supreme did that well. They were like they were like the mastery of collaborations. But still, like if you think what is a collaboration, it comes all the way back to community and connection. That's how those collaborations happen, right? It's like let me make something that you actually are proud to rock out there. You know, like initially making a paddle was difficult. It's not that difficult now. You know, it will get more difficult. And again, I'm trying to do some proprietary stuff, which I hopefully can do within the next 2 years. But until then, like we get to create the brand, and that's the cool part about being independent is like I don't have to fucking answer to anybody. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I could I could style it however I want, and if they don't like it, that's fine. Like you can go to Dick's Sporting Goods and go get something off of their shelf, or go, you know what I mean? You can buy your thing off of Amazon, you know, or you rock with us, you know. And then here's the thing: when you rock with us, we rock with you. Like someone buys a paddle and they want to hop on the phone, like I'll talk to you for half an hour while I'm boxing paddles, you
Wow,
know.
that's
I
so cool.
like it. I
No
like it.
other company is like this. This is really cool. It's street pickleball. That's how I see it. It's like street. It's out there. It's, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, we've got some like yeah, we got some fun ideas that we're working through. But yeah, a rap song and a full-on rap video, like that's in the works. I'm trying to throw like I'm gonna test it here in San Diego, but I'm trying to throw like a pickleball party. Like everyone's like, "Oh yeah, when are you gonna host a tournament? When are you gonna host a tournament?" I'm like, "There's plenty of like I got good friends that run tournaments. Like go to the tournament with your Manalo paddle." I was like, "I'm gonna throw a pickleball party."
Yeah.
Like we're gonna shoot a video. We're gonna have DJs. Like I want to do like uh exhibition stuff like N1 did as well too. I want to take like, and some people are doing this on YouTube now, but like I kind of want to do some skill challenges. I also want to do like an exhibition like 3v1. You know, like we take some of our like 5-0 players and then have them play three people. I think it would be a mess, but it would be the dopest mess ever.
Yeah.
I'm there.
Yeah.
That sounds like a really good event. So whenever you're thinking of even like have a time of, or season, let me know. I can drive down there. I was actually down in LA area only like 2, 3 weeks ago. So
Oh, cool.
it's easy for me to be down there. And I would love to come support and check it out.
Yeah, dude, it's cool, man. Like, dude, I was just talking about the Seattle thing. Someone from Seattle was vacationing with his family here, and he goes, "Man, I'm in San Diego." I'm like, "Dude, just pull up." So we met up on the court. He didn't even play. We just got to like meet how you and I are, and we just rapped out about some of these similar things and what we're trying to do with the brand. And and it's cool because I got to shake his hand and tell him how much I appreciate him rocking with the brand. Because like it's hard, right? Because like you don't know, like you hear from these people, you just see this brand online is doing something different. It could be a shot in the dark on whether like the branding is cool, but is their paddle any good? You know? And then
Yeah.
now it's his number one paddle. He has a quiver of three of the same paddle, all gripped differently.
Yeah, you know
Cool.
what is really good is that like most paddle companies who are mid-tier try to like impress you with some new stat or some new feature or
Right. Yeah.
something. But you guys are unapologetic, like you say, and say this is what we are, as
Yeah.
entity, and come join us. It's gonna be rockin' fun, something like
Yeah.
that. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
I think people get too caught up in that, right? Like
You know,
the
try to
specs do
beat the
matter.
other
Don't,
people.
don't get me wrong. When you are designing and when you are engineering, like down to the millimeter, those specs matter.
Hmm.
But it's not gonna it's not gonna change the it's not gonna change the trajectory of the brand. And the reality is, it's not gonna change the way you play either. Like at the fire station, like my ambassadors are crazy good. I'm decent. I'm the best one in the firehouse out of my firehouse. So I'll play them in like I beat someone's ass with a ping pong paddle one time. Yeah, because we used to have ping pong tables there. He goes, "Man, this is not even fun. We were playing one on one." He goes, "You should play with a ping pong paddle." And I'm like, "Dude, give me a minute." And I went and dug through the box and I found one. It took a little bit of adjusting, but then I beat him.
Yeah,
So it's like, yeah, like the specs, yes, they matter, but the brand, to me, the brand matters more. You know,
love it. It's great. That's great.
but what's going to carry us?
Awesome. All right. Thanks so much, Jason, for joining us. This is so much perspective that we haven't heard for ever, actually. And I had a feeling about you that like you're doing something different, especially with how you're helping the comedian with Knock Knock, and It's really touching. It's really good.
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Yeah, if you get a chance, check it out. I just took a bunch of Filipino American aunties and uncles, like senior citizens that
Hmm.
have heard about pickleball, and we brought them out to play. And dude, that was probably one of the most rewarding things that I've done out of all the shit that I've done.
Hmm.
That one was probably the coolest one because we didn't know how it was gonna go, and yeah, now they're all pickleball players.
Wow, that's awesome. All right, thanks so much, Jason. Have a good
Thank you
night.
guys.